All right, in this video, I'm going to go over screen 4 from your Desmos activity in class on Thursday or Friday. We're looking at transformations. So just a couple things when we do these problems that we want to think about. We're looking not at the relationship between x and y. So some people are trying to figure out how I went from 1 to 8. That's not the relationship we're looking at. We're looking at the relationship between g of x and f of x. So I'm actually looking, how did I go from f of x, I wrote this kind of backwards, from f of x to g of x? What did I do to the graph of f of x to create the graph of g of x? So I gave you the coordinates so you could see how they have moved. So on the blue graph, you have to plug in 2 to get out 8. But on the red graph, you plug in 1 to get out that same value of 8. Same thing here. On the blue, on the original function, on f of x, you plug in -1 to get out -1. On the red, if you want to get out -1, you have to plug in -2. We can clearly see, and I tried to make it very obvious with the points I chose, that this graph moved one space to the left. So the type of transformation this is a horizontal translation, 1 unit left. Now, the reason I gave you these fill in the blanks is because I think that this helps us to think a little bit about what's happening. Because generally horizontal changes, that means it's happening inside the argument, and those are the hardest to think about. So they're definitely not nearly as obvious. So g of 1, to get g of 1, so g of 1 is 8. That's equal to, so let's write that down, g of 1 equals 8. If I wanted to use f, that would be f of what equals 8. And we can see it right here on the graph. G of 1 equals 8. It's f of 2 that equals 8. So g of 1 equals f of 2. Let's look at g of -2. G of -2 equals -1. How do I get -1 on the f graph? I can see from this coordinate right here, I have to plug in -1. So g of -2 is equal to f of -1. So if I want to get g of a number, g of 1, I need to do f of 1 more than that number. So I need to do f of 2. If I need to get g of -2, I need to do f of 1 more than that number. So g of x actually equals f of x plus 1. How do I find the value on the g function? What this is kind of saying in words, to find g of x, you look 1 unit ahead at the f function. You look 1 spot ahead on the f, which means that f is ahead or to the right, which means that g is to the left. Okay, I look 1 spot forward on the f to get g. So g is behind. G is back here 2 spaces. We sometimes say it's like g got a head start on f, right? G of x is 1 more than f because it got a head start. So it happened 1 behind, 1 space to the left.